What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Box Out Boys podcast. We are the NBA podcast of the people, your home for lukewarm takes and substandard analysis. I'm Titus Two Shots Dominguez, and joining me tonight, he's like a sprained ankle. He ain't nothing to play with. It's Chris, the stats man, Gorman. Hit him with the stats, Chris.
Hey, I got a stat. So the Chicago Bulls are 25th in defensive rating in the first half, but then come the second half, they're second.
Dang.
So
That's a stat.
That's a stat.
So do with that what you will.
Be sad.
Be sad with that. And in the pre-show text chain, he told us to have our freestyles ready. It's the lawn boss, Joey McCroskey. Get that, Joe.
Good evening. What freestyles? I told you to rap.
You know, you said to have our MIP takes ready to go.
Some trivia.
Sorry, I was
back to the
making a lot of
trivia.
rap references tonight. I was just feeling it. So Drake and Kendrick all getting nods tonight. Adam is taking a night off because we're having technical difficulties once again, but that's all right. Adam will be back with us next week, so we know you guys love his silky sounds. Nice stat. Look at that.
Thanks, Baskets.
What a stat. Baskets already coming in hot with the congratulations and everything. All right. Well, we got a lot going on tonight. Lots to talk about. We're gonna try to fix the Bulls. We're gonna try to fix the Bulls here. We're struggling. We're gonna talk about some of the big matchups from over the week. Which one was the best one of the night or of the week? We're gonna talk a little Pelicans. Is this real? Can they hang on to the second seed? We don't know. We're gonna talk a little MIP action. See who's leading the race right now, and then we're gonna do a little fun replacing of some vets at the end of the show. So stick with us for all of that. But all right, guys, up front, our Bulls, they're struggling. Doing all right tonight, up a little bit. We'll keep the game talk to a minimum, but struggling a bit as of late. So our first question tonight, outside of Lonzo Ball returning, what is the biggest change that the Bulls need to make here to kind of right the ship, to get back into the playoff play-in picture? Joey, let's go to you. You were fuming, I think. What was it, on Sunday?
Yeah.
Let it all out, man. This is your session right now.
Well, yeah. Sunday I was absolutely fuming. And I know Chris is going to say this is all wrong, but this is a one-game outlook. And Zach was going off, right? He was having his best game in quite some time. 41 points. I think it was 8 rebounds. The assists were there. He had like 3 steals in the game. He was actually playing defense. He looked engaged, and he was driving to the hoop. Like, everything was kind of clicking for him. And they got it down to a 1 point. They were down 1 point late in the fourth, and passed it off to DeMar, and he did his normal, through the legs a few times, crossover, and just a horrible shot. Wasn't even close, begging for fouls. Came back down the court again in the next offensive possession, did the same thing, and it was just like the wind was gone, right? And Sacramento scored on both their possessions back, and 1 point became 5 points super fast, and they never recovered from it. And it was just like, I was mostly frustrated because all season, right, we have sat here and begged for Zach to have that game, right, to be the guy and be aggressive and play a complete game, and he was finally doing it. And it just it was completely forgotten. It was just not a team. It tried to be a team win, but they went away from the person who was carrying the team at that point. And I don't know, I was mad at DeMar, but the more I thought about it, I think it was kind of a fracture, right? I think for the first time this season in the team dynamic for them, where everybody for a season and a half, when DeMar has been hot late in the games, they go to DeMar, right? And they let him do his thing. But that's because he's been carrying it. But you finally had the flip side of the coin where Zach was the one carrying the load that night, and he was on, and they chose to go away from it. And that was disappointing. And I think that just goes back to, again, this doesn't answer the question. I'll do that in a second, but goes back to missing Lonzo, right? Having an actual point guard here where you're not just giving it to someone like DeMar or Zach and saying, just dribble and try and get the best shot you can. Actually running your offense makes all the difference. All that being said, and that's my rant. What needs to be fixed? the sad part of my research of trying to come up with like, all right, is it the defense? Is it, isolation play? Like, what is it? Chris had the stat about their defensive rating. I thought, hey, they go ISO a lot. Maybe there's something to be said there. They actually have the highest ISO score frequency in the NBA. They go about middle of the pack in terms of when they go into ISO, but they're scoring on 50% of the times that they go ISO. Problem with that, right, is it's Zach and DeMar always doing it, so it's easy to just double that or kind of sell out on that, and there's nothing else around to actually make them pay for it. Then I kind of thought, like, is it effort? But a lot of their defensive stats are pretty good, mostly due to their second half intensity. They give up a ton of threes, so that was kind of maybe something to look at, right? Just better closeouts and better staying home on your defender. But to me, it all kind of came to a head when I saw offensive rebounds, 23rd in offensive rebounds, which I think comes down to the fact that they're lacking in size, and not just size, but they're lacking in athletic size. Vooch, I think, is the kind of the cornerstone, I think, of the failure right now. He's not giving you what you need, right? We could talk about Zach and the money. I think that's a fair conversation to do. Maybe at the end of this season, right, you can look at that and say, was that worth it? Right now, it's early. He's getting better. He's getting more consistent. Vooch is on year 3. It's not looked great. He gets torched on defense. He's not providing you anything on offense. And it's just, there's nothing he's really offering you, right? He's not a threat for the 3-pointer anymore. And they're just getting torched on the inside whenever anybody has any sort of athletic ability over them. And I think too, like on the offensive side, playing defense, there is the ability to not have to like stay home in the paint, right? And they're getting out on the other teams are getting out on the perimeter. They're forcing Zach and DeMar to go into some kind of, wild shots at the rim. But when that happens, right, somebody is coming over because no one's afraid of Vooch in the paint, right? There's nobody that has to kind of stay home with him there and guard him. So they can kind of double it or do whatever that they need to do. So looking through all of that, I'm kind of looking at Vooch, right? His contract's up right now. I don't see how you give him another contract. I think from the very start of this podcast, we had him on the all you can have him team as just, hey, he looks like a great player because he's on a really bad team and there's nobody else to score. But when you put him on a team that actually has some ability, the flaws have been magnified.
Yeah, he's definitely been exposed.
That's
somewhat.
6 minutes of me talking about the Bulls, but that's where I'm at. I think Vooch is it, and I think they got to find something to do, and I think it's got to get done here by the trade deadline.
So you're thinking move Vooch then? Is it kind of your?
Yeah, like I know everybody's probably going to go. Not everybody, not us, but like everybody's going to be mad at Zach, right? Because you paid him all the money, and nobody thought he was at that point, and I still think, right, you had to give the money because you've never given the money before. You had to put the optics out there. And he's not the main reason that they're losing these games, right? He's also not the reason that they're winning. But when you look at it, like everybody else is kind of playing like where you would expect them to, right? Zach's 3 points behind like his career average, right? So he's not like taking this huge drop off.
Yeah.
The person who's taking the drop off is Vooch, right? And it's been dropping
from his career. Yeah.
Right. It's been dropping ever since he's come to Chicago. DeMar's still doing his thing. Like you can talk about Patrick Williams, but right, he's still young. And again, Patrick Williams isn't the reason you're losing games. Like he shouldn't be your number 3 scorer, right? Vooch is supposed to be your number 3 guy. Lonzo's not there. It's supposed to be Vooch, DeMar, and Zach. Because Zach and DeMar are carrying their part of the bargain, and Vooch isn't keeping up with that. So yeah, move him.
Chris, what do you think, man? You kind of agree with some of that, or you thinking
sure
something different?
Well, can we trade Vucevic for Franz Wagner, Wendell Carter Jr., and like this year's first? Do you think that could fly?
Send him back to Orlando?
Yeah. No, we couldn't even get Vooch for Wendell straight up. I just looked it up. They had the same exact 3-point percentage there, 34.6.
Really?
And Wendell's averaging 16.6 points per game, while Vooch is at 15.8. I liked Wendell when he was here. I don't want to get into that. But anyways, that's my way of kind of like being like, there's nothing they can do. Lonzo might not even come back this season.
Yeah,
like, I think next year. I think he's out.
It's starting to become a real.
There's something with the Melo's barely playing. There's something going on with these Ball brothers that they just don't play. It's kind of, I don't get it. I like the idea of the trade of DeMar, and maybe even if you can throw in Vooch for those 2 Laker picks, or just 2 first-round picks in general. Levine's on a long contract. Give it a year or 2 to rebuild, and just go from there, because it's a sunk cost at this point. That the Vooch trade is obviously a disaster. It was fun for 4 months last year.
Yeah,
I had a great time. We're past that now. Now that Lonzo's not even playing.
I mean,
reality has set in.
DeMar probably doesn't come without Vooch there.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, so Chris,
season of excitement.
You mentioned that trade, and so when Joey kind of suggested this question, and we wanted to talk about the Bulls in the sense, kind of as like a state of affairs of what's going on, and this is the way we wanted to frame this question. So I was starting to do research on what the Bulls could even do, you know what I mean? And I started looking up trade possibilities, and that Lakers trade has come up. The one that I've seen as far as thrown out there is DeMar, Vooch for Russ, and the 2 first-round picks. So the 27th or the 27 and 29, 2029 pick. I am all in on that. So I don't know if I'm exactly where you guys are at. I had like let's just completely tear this down. And I think I might be.
I'm with you on that, more Titus. Yeah,
like, I could even like if
which
you want to move back
because like we wanted to be good, and now we are. It's like, you know what? I don't like this. Let's be bad again.
Yeah. So counter to that, right? It's a 27 and 29 pick.
Those picks are going to be great.
So last time the Bulls tried to rebuild, it took like 9 years. And if you're rebuilding now, right, you spent all that money on Zach. No one's picking up that contract probably, at least at the end of this year, right? No one's picking it up probably next year, because if he's performing like he is, I'll be honest, right? He's not performing at the dollar amount he's getting. So you're probably not going to get somebody unless they're really desperate. Maybe the Lakers are that desperate. My only concern is like, do those 2 picks in 4-5 years, like that's a long time.
Yeah,
like you're sending yourself to basketball hell and then some for
I know what you're doing.
5 more years.
Yeah. So, and here's my kind of sort of
Andrew Pryor is still stuck with Zach for the duration of that contract.
So this is the thing. I think Zach's trade value is the highest it's going to be. He's locked up. He's just coming off an All-Star appearance, his first All-Star appearance. Yes, he's not having a great season this year, but teams are going to buy in. Like you move him to New York, or you move him to LA or Brooklyn or something. You know, I'm trying to think of some other teams that would be like who could talk themselves into him. They're going to go, all right, he's locked up. Yeah, we got to trade for the money, but we get a borderline superstar. You know what I mean? And regardless of what Zach actually is, right? This is what the team's going to sell themselves. The team that gets him is going to be psyched. Like their fan base is going to be psyched. It's going to seem like a big swing to move stuff. Now's the time to move him. In a couple of years, when he's completely shown to be what he is, and nobody's going to can sell themselves on it, you're going to get absolutely nothing for him. And
the other thing had the option to give him that money at the end of last season, and nobody came to the table.
Well, the Bulls always had the trump card on that, right? They could always match that and take it. I mean, I know nobody gave him money,
right?
But he wasn't going to. He said he wasn't going to go anywhere either.
Actually, no, the Bulls couldn't match it. They didn't. He wasn't restricted. He was unrestricted. No.
All right, but
they offered him. They could offer him the most money, though.
The most money,
correct.
Yeah,
or the extra year, I think, right?
Yes, yeah, they had the extra year.
And nobody's ever not taken that extra year. That's the other thing too. Everybody always takes that extra year. But no, and this is, I think, that to me is systemic of what the Bulls always do, right? They go, hey, let's not do something that's scary and a risk, because we don't, like right now you got Wembanyama is in the draft. This is the time to try to get a draft pick.
Well, they don't have. Oh, it's top 4 protected.
Top 4 protected.
So they get,
So I was watching this a video from Bull Central on YouTube, and shout out to them. He did a great workup of some of this, like what's going on wrong with the Bulls and stuff like that. I would recommend watching that too. But one of the things he talked about was like tanking this year is not a good idea. And I disagree with that a little bit, and I push back on it because the point he was bringing up is that percentage of getting that pick is super low, right? One, you have to get a top 4 before you even get to keep your pick, and then you got to hope you get the number 1 pick, right? But the way I look at it is I go, you have a legitimate, people are considering one of the best talents to come out of, up in a draft in years, in recent memory. This is like a Zion level kind of guy. You have to swing for that if you're not gonna win, because like you only have a 14% chance, right, of getting the number 1 pick. You have a 0% chance of winning the title this year. So what are you doing? And then if you make that trade with LA and you get picks in 5 years, when LA will be bad, when LeBron is gone, when AD is gone, now you got 2 solid picks that you could potentially build on. You could maybe build, through the draft again. And yeah, maybe it takes 5-6 years. I kind of understand that. Maybe it takes 9 again. But at this rate, all you're doing is the longer you wait. This is kind of my argument for not signing Zach in the beginning of the season. Yeah, the longer you wait, the longer the build's going to be. Because right now you're not winning anything, man. And you talk about basketball hell. We're in it. We're in the 12th seed right now with all these guys and with paying all these guys. It's like, what's going to change between now and then?
Yeah.
I know it sucks. I don't know if it's the right move, but it's just like, all right, hey, it's something.
I think in full reality, I could be convinced of your argument, not argument, but your concept. But they also signed Billy to a long-term contract right before the season started and didn't tell anybody about it. So I think they're committed to the way that this team is kind of set. I don't think they're going to do anything drastic. I think I could see them making a Vooch or P. Will move.
Yeah, something
guys
small
that are coming up that they, small, but I don't see them doing I don't think DeMar's going anywhere unless, somebody sends the house. I don't think they're going to do it for 2 picks in 5 and 7 years, whatever that is.
Well, to me, if you do that pick, I would then move Zach too. That's me personally, because the picks the trades I saw was that trade to LA, and then the other trade offer was Zach to New York for like Evan Fournier, Derrick Rose, and then like 4 or 5 picks, I think.
Yeah,
I mean, the Knicks would do that though.
I don't know. You know what I mean? It was just like the trade that I saw. Like,
would that be like their we didn't get Donovan Mitchell, I guess we can get Zach LaVine kind of trade?
I think it's what it would be.
That would be interesting.
That would be interesting. Like, because you tell me the Knicks couldn't talk themselves into that. Like, they would be like, all right.
I kind of want to know. I kind of want to know what it feels like to be a Utah fan or an OKC fan, or even a Philly fan. Like, years ago, 5 years ago, who you have all these picks.
Yeah,
and you're just kind of like excited for the future. We've never really had that with Chicago. It's either like, we have the first pick, Derrick Rose, great. Now we're good again.
Well, right. It was fine, right? You think about like Oklahoma City and Utah. What did they have before the world that they're in now? OKC had a run of like 5 years where they were knocking on the door, almost champions, right?
Yeah.
KD, Westbrook era. Utah, same thing, right? They should have been better than they were. Chicago did it too, right? We had our Derrick Rose years. We got lucky, and then when the time was right, I think we all agree breaking up that team when they did was the right time to do that, right? They had reached their potential. Derrick Rose was done with what he was.
Yeah.
But the Bulls never recovered, right? Utah is looking like they have some pieces, right? Or they're going to be so bad they're going to win manana. Oklahoma City has finally turned the corner. It took maybe a little bit longer for Oklahoma City, but like, do you even trust the Bulls organization, even as the new regime, to even like get you there? Like, right when they broke up the Derrick Rose team, right? It was supposed to be, hey, we're gonna, a couple of years, and we'll be back in it. And
this is a deeper conversation, and my answer is no.
Yeah, my answer is no too. But even like,
answer, no.
I don't trust the Bulls organization, but what I do trust is that they can potentially fall into a pick, because it's the Derrick Rose pick, right? That wasn't something that was an organizational thing. They just got lucky, got the ping pong balls dropped right.
The frozen envelope.
And the frozen envelope, and they had a guy there at the time that could, was a franchise changing player. That's what happened. And that's all I'm saying is like, give yourself the shot to get a Luka, to get a Giannis, to get a guy, a Shea Gilgeous, for example, a guy that can possibly get you over the hump, an Embiid. And then you just try again, because I look at this team and I don't see it. I don't see that guy on that roster, and I don't see any move around the periphery that's going to make them any bit of a contender.
But that's what Patrick Williams was supposed to be, man. When we got that fourth pick, it's like, all right, we were bad, and here's our 4th overall pick, Patrick Williams.
Yeah.
Did he start I know he averaged like 8 points a game at Florida State. I can't remember. He probably started, but
he did not.
The Bulls have had bad luck with their picks.
I don't think he did.
Okay, anyways,
I mean, two things, right? They've got a short-term fix if they want to try and be better now, and I think that's the easy answer is Lonzo needs to come back. But outside of that, they have to get somebody more threatening with size. It's not Patrick Williams. It's not Vooch. They got to find somebody. Long term, right? Long term is there's probably a major shakeup that needs to occur.
And maybe it's Billy. Maybe it's Billy goes too. You know what I mean?
Well, to be honest, man, like, would we be talking differently if Lonzo was just playing? Like,
I don't think so.
Have that much of an impact? Well, I think he could.
No,
if they were, well, I mean, you're assuming they're probably They're probably a 500 team, right?
Maybe.
With Lonzo, yeah, 2 or 3 extra wins, yeah.
Yeah, well, they're 9-14, so 5 extra.
Yeah.
So
like that. That's fair.
Yeah. Kind of think about this too. Honestly, this was my opinion since the Bucks series. That was the series. So like the whole season was very fun, and it was exciting. It was it was a lot of potential. That Bucks season was like the reality check at the end of the season that made me personally like realize, oh, this team is nowhere close. And that was it. That was it for me, where I was like, all right, I don't see it here.
Blow it up then.
I was ready to blow it up then. Like once the Bucks thing was done, I was like, okay, no, you're not even close to competing with this. Everything in the regular season was kind of a mirage. So let's just blow it up. And I didn't want to sign Zach. And we talked about it all off season. You know what I mean? And I don't want to say I don't think I've been vindicated yet, but I would just say like I don't know. Now I'm kind of looking at it, I'm like, I wasn't that crazy, was I? But that's me.
No.
Yeah, but you're the pessimist.
That's a very tall yardstick to compare yourself to.
Well,
I don't need them to be better than the Milwaukee Bucks, right?
Yeah, but here's this is our fundamental disagreement as NBA fans and Bulls fans. You are more like you want the team to be watchable and great, and like you're okay with that. I want a championship or let's just every time it's either try to get to a championship or tear it down. Try to get to a championship.
It's not like there's somebody who's like Giannis who's available, right? Like
no, but you have to get those guys to the draft. You don't get those guys to come.
Yeah.
I mean, the one-off situations are like
they're
Toronto
too
or
good
something.
though to tank and fall to get Wembanyama this year. I think that's a lost cause. Like it's not fully a lost cause, right? It's not, but
I would try for it.
In reality, I think it is.
I think I would go for it, but it's easier.
I would go for it because he looks so good. That's the thing. Is like he looks that good. It's one thing if it was like last year's draft or something where it's like, it's not a definitive guy. There's like, like some good pieces, whatever. And it's like, yeah, all right, fine. Then I would say, hey, let's just keep the course or see what happens next year. But to me, once there's that guy.
Well, it's not even just Wembanyama. Like Scoot Henderson looks really good.
Yeah.
Like if we get that point guard, that'd be
No, the Bulls, they would blow it, right? They would get like fined by the NBA, lose their draft pick next year because they would get caught tanking so hard that they would, they would just
they could fool me right now.
Or they take another backup.
So maybe they do nothing. They just keep playing the way they are. They don't shoot anything, and they just find themselves into Wembanyama. Anyway.
They're gonna find themselves in the lottery anyway, man. It's just terrible. So it's like, all right, whatever, man. All right, I think that's a. I think we needed
the longest segment. That was a good, for you guys.
That just proves exactly where they're at, I guess, right?
Yeah, I know. It sucks because last year was so fun, and like I was thinking we'd be having a playoff game this, even if it was
Last thought, what's most wild, though, is that we're talking about this, and this is the team that has beat Boston and Milwaukee this year. Yeah. That's what's wild. And almost beat Golden State.
I forgot about that already. We've been so pessimistic this whole time. They've had good wins.
Yeah, they just lose to everybody else.
They just lose to everybody else.
Man, oh, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our second question. Yeah, no, man, we'll talk about the Bulls forever.
We did have a question from Baskets, but she asked if you could pick a New Year's resolution for one NBA team. Which team would you pick, and what would it be? I think maybe we hold off because I think we should do another NBA New Year's resolutions pod.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
A whole pod on it? Yeah, that's actually a good. Okay. That's a good. We'll save that for a full segment on that.
I think we just spent 20 minutes talking about some resolutions for our favorite team. So if that helps,
we'll put that on the docket for the next week or two.
There you go. Answer their own question. Bulls need to buff up with some more players. I agree.
Yes,
I like it. They certainly do.
Buff up more players. Do we want to talk about the sweet promo from Taco, or are we gonna do something
I think we're good here.
We're good. All right.
We're good. Thank you, though. We appreciate
appreciate Taco.
Thank you for watching. All right, what's our second question? What is the best what was the best big matchup from the weekend? So there was a couple of like marquee matchups and some tough matchups early season. So hey, is what it is. You had LA Bucks, which turned into a barn burner. A great AD Giannis battle, which was nice. Suns Mavs kind of rematch that was pretty interesting. Chris Paul, but always interesting to see.
Luka Booker, man. Yeah,
Luka Booker.
What it is now.
That's what it is. And then the Nuggets Pelicans. Nuggets Pellets. We're in a battle for second place in the Western Conference. So, Chris, which game did you feel was the best of the games?
Okay, so my favorite game was the Lakers Bucks because two big men going at it. It's kind of my thing.
Bumping big men.
They were bumping back and forth. Both got 40 plus in that game. Anthony Davis, 18 of 27, only 2 of 3 from 3. Beautiful performance. And, got solid contributions from Russ and LeBron as well. Lonnie Walker IV doing some things. So this is the AD that you forgot about, that I forgot about.
Yes.
It was nice to see him back. Of course, then he had flu-like symptoms the next game. He was out tonight because of the flu, whatever the flu is for him. But it was just refreshing to see him go up against Giannis. And, what was fun with Twitter is that then people are like, oh, is AD actually better than Giannis? Because he just beat Giannis in this game. It's like, he's very good at playing basketball, and so is Giannis Antetokounmpo. We don't have to say who's better than the other. They're both very accomplished players if there's a 7-game series. I'd love to see that happen.
Yes.
It kind of gave me hope that the Lakers could actually be good because I want to see these stars be good again. AD, LeBron, and Russ. I don't want to see them be what the Bulls are. They're not like Levine. I don't want to go there. Anyways, that was my favorite game. I'm going to talk about the other two real quick because they were exciting as well. I mean, Jose Alvarado, dude.
He went off.
Are you kidding me? He only got 1 steal. I thought he was going to have like 6 steals in that game, but he was 8 of 11 from 3. He would just put on a dynamite performance. And even Zion doesn't shoot threes, which is hilarious. He still gets 25 points. And so I was more excited for the Pelicans for that game. And then the Suns Mavericks, there was a lot of things with the Suns where everyone was talking about like, oh, Devin Booker, MVP. He's got to be talked about in the MVP. Like he's good. He's very good. Maybe he's the best shooting guard in the league. And then it's like, oh yeah, no, he's not. And this is why he's not. When he goes up against guys like Luka Doncic, where he is just like a shell of himself against these kind of guys. He's just a step below, a tier or 2 below this level of talent that you see from a guy like Luka. So it was great to see that for Dallas. Even though I do like Booker a little bit, but they all have big heads. But anyways,
I kind of with you. He's maybe that next tier down, maybe like that Donovan Mitchell type tier, where he's just not quite a dominant superstar, but he's good enough to get you places. Yeah, that game ended up being a blowout. Nuggets Pels was good. Alvarado was going off, and Zion's a freaking beast. Joey, what was your favorite game, man?
Yeah, I had Lakers Bucks.
That's the answer.
Yeah.
What'd you think about it?
I mean, Milwaukee was down 11 in the second quarter, 8 at half. They stormed back, and I was just looking at like the play-by-play. The entire fourth quarter was played within a 4-point window. Jeez. Like it was just like violently like back and I mean it was just back and forth right the entire time, and it ended up being a 4-point win for the Lakers. Giannis with 40, AD with 44, and LeBron and Drew with 28, and Middleton was back too. And
that was his first game, right? Yeah,
he had a decent game. I didn't write the stats on, but I think it was like 18 points. It was decent. But man, like watching that, like as much as I'm trying to make sure that I get one prediction right that the Lakers aren't going to make the playoffs. If you could get 7 games of that back and forth, like AD against Giannis, like just the 2 big men going at it and bumping, like that would be and it's fun, right? Because you have 2 big men, but they're completely different in how they play the game, right? Giannis is I'm gonna knock you over and go out of control, or just muscle you down and dunk on you. AD does it with a bit more finesse, a little bit more, let's call it skill, but
grace,
a little more grace, So it was fun to watch. Like we haven't seen AD do something like that in some time. And I think he followed it up, or the night before at 55 or whatever it was. So like he's on a tear. I know we talked last week. Is it real or fake? I think we got our answer there for now. Yeah. But that game was fun.
Has he played since then? He played 8 minutes the next game.
Yeah, he had flu-like symptoms or something. So he tried to play through it.
He better be sick.
That was an awesome game. I would watch that game. Of that multiple times.
That one felt like a playoff game too. Like I was kind of watching it, like just the energy in the building, like they were ready to go. LeBron looked like he was engaged. Obviously, AD and Giannis's battle, like you guys.
I forgot he got 55 points the next.
Yeah.
2 days later, he got 55 at Washington, and then he played 8 minutes the following game at Cleveland. That Cleveland game I was excited for. That's why I was bummed out that he didn't play that one.
But no, like you were saying, Chris, the Twitter starts going crazy about is he better than Giannis, and it was weird because I'm watching the game and it was like that, like you said, that reminder of like, oh, when this dude is on, I mean, is he as whatever? There's no need to debate, but he definitely has the talent to be as good as Giannis. You know what I mean?
They're at the same level. While when you see Luka and Booker, it's like, oh no, Luka is immensely better than Devin Booker, right? It's just a different comparison.
Even, watching these games over the weekend, I think the one thing that struck me too was like, all right, man, this league is in great shape. You watch LA and Bucks, and you got AD and Giannis going at it, and like the whole time I'm going, man, these guys are the best players in the league. Then you have Nugs Pelicans, and you got Zion and Jokic going at it, and you're like, all right, these guys are the best players in the league. And then you watch Luka go off. You're like, oh, it's like seriously, every other game you're watching, it's unbelievable. So I was hyped, man. There was some good games this weekend.
It was great.
Yep. All right, but we were talking about it. That big game for the number 2 seed in the West, Nugs versus Pelicans. Pelicans come out on top. They're currently still in the second seed in the Western Conference behind the Suns. So real or fake, guys, are the Pelicans the second best team in the West? Joey, what do you think, man?
Absolutely real. Without a doubt. They're 15-8, and they lost 3 overtime games by a combined 7 points.
Damn. Okay.
Ingram
Wait, how many? Did you say 3?
3 overtime games.
Okay, that's a stat. Great stat.
Ingram's also missed 8 games. Zion's missed 5. McCollum's missed a handful mixed in there as well. So they're 15-8 with their not arguably their 3 best players missing a handful of games, and they've lost 3 overtime games close. And if you look at their losses, they're against some pretty good teams. There's 2 Phoenix losses in there. There's a Utah loss when Utah was rolling. So I think it's real. They have everything you want in like a good basketball team, right? Like what is the thing that they're missing? They've got energy off the bench. They've got a solid scoring and also like floor general point guard in McCollum. They've got Zion, who's got size and just kind of whatever. And then they've got Ingram, who is
whatever.
How do you describe
whatever?
It?
Yeah, exactly.
There's no one like him. He just finishes like nobody else. Like,
and then you've got Ingram, who is exactly the player you want. Like he's
all-star caliber player.
He's kind of like your Andrew Wiggins, right? Like from Golden State. Like he's your wing player. You could also shoot but drive you to the hoop.
He's also that guy. Like if you need a bucket, you just give him the ball, right?
Yeah.
Like, you trust he's giving you a bucket.
Like they've got everything, and I think last year their little run in the playoffs, right, was the confidence that they needed. Zion coming back was like the stamp of
let's do this. Yeah,
last year was real, and now it's even more real that they have Zion back. So I'm buying in. I'm buying high.
Yep. And with Alvarado, you got that feisty guy that your Bobby Portis, your Pat Beverly guy. So you got that guy too. Chris, what do you think, man? Real?
So I the only fake thing about this, the fact they said they're the 2 seed, they're going to be the 1 seed in the West. They got Phoenix twice on Friday and Sunday coming up, so actually kind of really perfect. Whoever thought of this question, make this come up, could happen now, because even if they just split that, I honestly believe they would be the 1 seed over Phoenix, and that's my only reason I would say fake. But really, this is I was high on the Pelicans, and I say the 4th seed. I think I said the 2nd seed in our preview. And they're just gonna be the 1 seed, man. Like Alvarado getting 38, he's like the 8th best player on this team. Like that doesn't happen. So they have so many guys, and like Joey said, 3 of the top 3 players have missed like 15 games combined. And let's keep going with this team. Let's go.
Yeah, no, they're currently 3rd in net rating at a plus 6.9. I think they're right behind the Suns. So I think this is as real as it gets. And
and shout out Dyson Daniels, man. The 6'7" point guard who just plays amazing. Another defensive monster. They have him, Herb Jones, and Jose Alvarado just lurking around, dude. It just reminds me of like, it's great. Yeah.
It was great. Yeah. So yeah, definitely lock in this weekend for those 2 Phoenix games.
I was gonna say it reminds me of like the Boston team, and I just didn't want to talk about Boston because they're so good. Like Boston, I remember when they had like Tony Allen and Eddie House.
Yeah.
That was an annoying team. But I'm rooting for New Orleans. Let's go. Let's go New Orleans.
Let's go. All right, let's keep it moving, man. We got our other questions, some early MIPs. So we're looking for some awards. Yeah, I think we've kind of talked about the MVP. We gave you a starting 5 MVP, but we're looking at MIPs, man. Chris, who are your guys? Who's your guy? Maybe one guy, 2 guys, leader in the clubhouse. Who you got?
I mean, it's. I wanted to try to be fun with it and be like different, but it has to be Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Okay. He's averaging 4.5 more. Sorry, I looked at 2-point attempts. He's averaging 4.5, 2 more point attempts. He's not shooting threes as often anymore, but he's averaging 7 more points a game.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
This guy's a force of nature. You can't stop him. He's 24 years old. He's 6'5", maybe 6'6" at the point guard position. And if he can play 70 games, 65 at least, it's a lock. He's it. And the Thunder go 35 and 40. What is that then? 47? Is that 40? I can't think. Right. I can't do math. Yeah, it's 47. Maybe better than that, but it has to be Shai. Honorable mention is Tyrese Halliburton. Sorry, Joey, if you're going to mention him. I love what he is. By the way, Tyrese Halliburton has the ugliest shot that is consistent since maybe Sean Marion. It's like it makes him pull me free throw, but it's a jump shot. Yeah. It's just weird. He's currently leading the league in assists at 10.9, 19.1 points per game. Tyrese Halliburton putting the Pacers on the map. And I mentioned this in the preview as well, where the Pacers are going to be good if they don't make the trade. And it looks like they might just stay good.
They're the 4th seed.
They're the 4th seed.
They're the 4th seed.
Are you kidding me?
You kidding me?
They're the Bulls. They're the Heat. They're the Sixers.
They're what the Heat were supposed to be.
Yeah. All these teams that are shit in the bed this year.
Oh yeah,
these guys were supposed to suck. We're supposed to trade Hield and Miles
Turner for those 2 picks.
Yep,
those on the table.
No point in doing that. Joey, anybody else can make a case for it? I do kind of feel Shai's like the obvious maybe candidate, but who do you think? Man?
I had 3 guys down. I had Shai, Tyrese Halliburton, and I also put Lauri Markkanen.
My 3,
because the run he's on, whether Utah's good or bad, he is putting up numbers that are by and far better than he's ever put up.
Yes.
And most improved should be most improved, and he's there. I do think it's Shai. I think that's clear in a way, the most obvious one, but
But no, his points per game production is about the same. It might even be a little bit more there. He's he goes from 14.8 to 22.2 this year. So I mean, he keeps that up or gets it up to 23, 24 points a game. Like that's a 7-8 point, almost 10-point increase. That's crazy.
It's wild.
So definitely could, I think he's got the case. I think I would give him, I know Halliburton's also balling too, but I would maybe go Shai 1, Markkanen 2. But it's kind of a toss up after that. Just based on that. But you said you had some for us.
All right. So I'm going to rattle off the last 10 MIP.
Great.
Right, so John Morant last year, Julius Randle, Brandon Ingram, Pascal Siakam, Victor Oladipo, Giannis, CJ McCollum, Jimmy Butler, Goran Dragic, and Paul George.
Who was the last one? Paul George?
Paul George back in 12-13. Out of that 10, there's one player on this list who has never made an All-Star game. Do you know who that player is?
Ooh.
I feel like there's an obvious answer, but I don't think it's him.
It's CJ, right?
It is CJ.
Oh, it is CJ. Oh, shit. McCollum's on the list.
McCollum.
I was going to say Oladipo, but I'm pretty sure, yeah.
That's what I thought it was. I was like, but I think he made it. And I remember Dragic making it because I was looking up Dragic stats earlier this year because I wanted him to play all the games.
There's also, it's the next question. There's also 2 players who did not make their first All-Star game appearance in their MIP season on this list.
So they made it after?
Yes.
Okay, so their MIP season was not their first All-Star season.
Correct.
I'm gonna guess Giannis as one of them.
Okay.
Is that correct, or is
That
that
is incorrect.
That is incorrect. Okay. Oh, Dragic, right?
Dragic, correct.
All right.
Dragic MIP in 13-14 didn't make an All-Star game until 2018.
Okay.
His one and only All-Star game appearance.
Oh, Paul George. Did he make it that year?
Paul George went to the All-Star game in his MIP season.
He did.
His first one.
Well, shit.
Butler?
Incorrect.
Ooh.
Ingram.
Incorrect.
Well, McCollum, obviously.
Yeah, McCollum, all right.
No, it's Pascal. Pascal Siakam
went.
What?
No, CJ never made it.
1920.
Sorry. Shoot.
So going through all of that, the whole reason I got into this or started thinking this way was the three guys that I had listed, right, have never been to an All-Star game. And I think, right, so what is that?
Yes.
7 out of the last 10 have been All-Star for their first time in their MIP season.
Oh, that's a good one.
So I think out of that list of three people, Shea is the most likely to be an All-Star out of Laurie and Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be really hard to argue him out of an All-Star position. So if history and odds are showing us anything, that if he's an All-Star for the first time, he's probably going to be MIP.
I think you're right.
You
know what's crazy? I think all three of those guys are going to be All-Stars. Well, the Jazz are going to be the only hiccup if they end up really just not playing well the rest until the All-Star break. I think he's going to lose his spot.
I think Halliburton's probably probably one of the bigger locks because guard play in the East is probably not as good as the West. But
so I got a trivia question for you guys. Out of all the MIP winners since this award's been given us, the 1985-86 season, there's been one Hall of Famer. Can you name the Hall of Famer?
MIP, who was a Hall of Famer?
Oh.
Yeah. MIP winner and also Hall of Famer. There's only one.
This one, I don't know if I
he got the MIP in the year 2000.
Kobe.
Close, kind of. Kobe never won it, but Kobe-esque.
Iverson? That's too early.
Or too late for Iverson. He would have been good.
He played for the Orlando Magic when he won it.
McGrady.
T-Mac. And the most random MIP winner, because I have the list up, Ryan Anderson.
Yeah, I saw that when I was looking at the list.
Do you know there's a theory that he's colorblind and that because of his home and away splits because he played for Houston, he couldn't see red and it kind of hurt his projection of the way.
Really? That's funny.
There's a weird thing about that with him.
I like
my Ryan Anderson.
Oh man, well, MIP seems like it's going to be an interesting race this year. I think
it's kind of nice to see it back. Because remember, MIP for a while was like kind of boring. Like, is it going to be Jordan Poole or when Oladipo wins it, or even when Randall won it, was like, all right, I guess,
Even Ja last year was kind of like the MVP consolation prize. It was kind of weird.
That was a bad one. Yeah.
All right, well, let's have a little fun. Joey came up with a nice question for us. Let's replace some vets. Number 5 question tonight. Close out the show. All right, so we have the old guard. We're talking about, the new guard I think it's fully replaced the old guard. I think we're officially in the new era, the Giannis era, if we want to call this that. So here's a starting lineup. Point guard, we have Steph Curry. Shooting guard, we have James Harden. Small forward, LeBron James. Power forward, Kevin Durant. And center, Rudy Gobert. Those are the guys who are on the way out the door. And it's our job to replace them. Chris, you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Let's you go first. Well, who have your point guard? Are we doing position?
Okay, yes. I'll do my position, and I will say that I cheated a little bit. And I'll do my 5, then we'll give your 5, and then we'll see Joey's 5. I did cheat a little bit. So my point guard I have is Ja. My shooting guard, I have Devin Booker. My small forward, I have Luka. This is where I cheated. I slotted him into the 3. Cheated. Yep, because I had to have those 3 guys. My power forward is Tatum, and then my center I went with I felt like we talked about it, in the text group that Gobert didn't feel like the right guy on the list, but we couldn't figure somebody else out. So I kind of want somebody a little bit off the wall too. So I went with Bam for my center.
That's fun. Wow, your list is terrible. Who's your 3 again?
Luka. He's 6'8", 6'9". He's a 3.
This is worse than your top 5 athletes of all time.
This is a great list. What are you guys talking about?
This is bad.
Ja, Booker, Luka, Tatum, Bam. Beat that team. I did not
Booker, Luka, Tatum. Okay, I have 2 of those guys though.
I just realized I do not have Giannis on my list.
Yeah, dude. That's a problem. You could have cheated and made Giannis your center. That would have made more sense.
You literally called the Giannis team.
Yeah,
when you're introducing this segment, and
then
you
put
Giannis to the list. It's the Giannis era.
We're calling this the Giannis era, and Bam is your center.
Bam is. If you're gonna look at 3, at least put Giannis at the 5.
All right, Chris, do you want to have a conversation and let's go through our list?
Yeah, right. Here, I'll go next.
I'm just gonna, guys, put something out.
Wow.
No, I'm gonna go in reverse order. Okay. So I got my center is Embiid. Nice. My power forward is Giannis.
Yes.
My 3, who's Durant, is Jason Tatum.
Yes.
My shooting guard, I felt like I was cheating a little bit when I put him here, but when I heard Titus's lineup, I'm like, okay, no, this is perfect for it. It's Luka and Harden. They're literally Luka is today's Harden to
correct
a T. And at point guard, I thought about Ja. I had to go Trae Young.
Oh no!
So there I am.
But other than that, yes, I agree with your list. You're way better than mine, Joey. Give us the answer.
All right, point guard. I went Luka.
Okay.
Shooting guard. I'm gonna get wild here. I went Anthony Edwards.
Okay, I'm surprised that it came from you and not me. That's great.
I was kind of torn between.
I've been kind of mad at him this year. I thought he would be like he looks lazy some nights.
Yeah, that was kind of my down. That was my only negative. I was kind of thinking Shea for a little bit, but Anthony Edwards, right, is younger, maybe a little bit.
Ooh, maybe Shea is the better pick though.
Shea's
more of a point guard too, so I don't know. There's shooting guards are so weird.
I went by position on Basketball Reference, so
yeah.
So I've got Luka, Anthony Edwards. Then at the 3, I took Tatum, Giannis at the other forward spot, and then I put Jokic at center.
Yeah, he's young enough.
I think he's young enough. I think he's redefining what the center is, and I'm just not. I don't know. I'd rather have an era of Jokic than an era of Embiid, and I don't know why, but I just do.
Well, Jokic is a beautiful brand of basketball. He only averages like 11 field goals a game, but he gets
the best big man.
Yeah,
the best big man. So yeah, I'm Luka, Edwards, Tatum, Giannis, Jokic.
All right, I think we combine the list. We smoosh the lists together.
Smoosh.
And we get Ja, Luka, Tatum, Giannis, Jokic.
Ja, Luka.
That's probably it.
Giannis.
That's probably it.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. Any other honorable mentions?
I think Embiid's a solid six man.
Is an honorable mention. The other one I had as honorable mention is Zion.
Oh yeah, me too. I was thinking about him
because, I mean, he could literally change the entire landscape of the game if he continues on the trajectory.
He is this generation's Anthony Davis, though, where he's a generational talent, but he can only play like 40 games a year.
Yeah,
right. Like
maybe we'll see. He's a little bit thinner now. He's got a little bit more size off of him. Maybe he's.
Man, if he's thinner now, something. Jesus, he's a big boy,
which
man.
Is wild.
Well,
it's a good list.
I botched that one.
Yeah, you really did. It's the Giannis era.
Giannis. Guys, I didn't have Giannis.
I'm going wild here, guys. Bam Adebayo.
Well, look at the three. I'm like, what? Because who's your point guard again? You had Ja, and then
you know what it was?
Booker. You wanted Booker.
Booker came to my mind, and I just I was like, oh yeah, John Booker, my backcourt. And I was like, oh.
And you obviously didn't watch the Mavericks Suns game.
Yeah, I didn't pay attention to that.
That was an embarrassment of a. Every time, like you see Booker playing bad, it's like, oh yeah, that's why he's not that good.
Yeah, I forget. Like I get lost in like last week where he had like the 50-point game against the Bulls, and it's just like I get lost in that stuff, and then I remember, oh, Booker's great, and then You know what's really sad though is I didn't even think of Giannis. I literally, as I'm making my list, he never even crossed my mind. I was like,
except
all right,
when you're like,
except when you said it.
Except when you're naming the era
The
we're in
era
right now.
the Giannis era.
The
You're
Giannis
just too
era.
used to him. We're too
Yeah,
used to it.
I thought he was already past.
You just take him for granted. You take him like LeBron. You just take him for
this
granted.
LeBron. You just take him for granted.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, I think we can call it a night.
You need to go to sleep or something. You need
I gotta rest up, boys. That was a tough one for me. Tough L for your boy. Another L for Titus on the pod.
Top 5 lists are not your thing, man.
They are not my thing.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Mariano Rivera, like
Mark Burley,
that's the other one.
Bam Adebayo, Booker.
I know. I love it.
Well, that is it for us tonight. Join us next week to talk more NBA basketball. Follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at the Box Out Boys. Slide into those DMs. Send us an email to theboxoutboys@gmail.com. And as always, like, subscribe, and review wherever you listen to this at now. We very much appreciate that. Please rate us on Spotify. That does help us out. So for Joey, Chris, and Adam, I'm Titus. Until next time, Box Out.